Wednesday show. Wednesday show. Oh, yeah, let's throw that over there. Wednesday show. Hello, everybody. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know if you can hear me. Oh, there we go. We got people come on. This is such a weird setup right here. We're coming to you guys live. My parents are down here on vacation. They are renting out a condo. So I am in one of the guest rooms that's in this condo that they're renting. So I got the children's room because of Mickey. Mickey. So this is where we're doing our broadcast from today. Instead of going from home, we're going to be here. We are riding out the hurricane with my parents today. I'm trying to get used to the setup. The setup's so weird because I can't even reach the computer from where I'm at. Unless I got closer. Can I get closer? Oh. Hello. Hello, Candace. All right, so come on. We're going to be talking all about the Disney Wish today. We set sail this past week on the Disney Wish. And luck. This is okay. Let's do this. Let's do this again here. So this is not my bed. For those of you guys who are just joining us right now, I am riding out the hurricane at my parents' condo. They're renting a condo right now. They are visiting. They just happen to visit during a hurricane. And yeah, so I am coming to you from this room because it's got Mickey in it. So I figured it's the most appropriate room of all the rooms that we've ever had before, besides my own condo, which is just completely, it looks like Disney threw up everywhere in it. So no, this is not my bed. Although I did sleep down here last night. But yeah, we are not at my condo. We are riding out the storm in a different condo here in Orlando because my parents are here. Don't you wish you were on the Wish? Yeah, we're gonna talk about the Wish. We're gonna talk a lot about the Wish. Hello, hope you and your family are safe from the storm. We still obviously have electricity because we're doing the show right now. If we do lose electricity at some point tonight, I apologize. If you guys didn't know, there's a hurricane, literally we're in the middle of a hurricane right now as we're doing this episode of the Wednesday show. If you listen outside, you can actually hear the rain keeps on hitting the window. Oh, I did do it. So yeah, we're coming to you guys live from Hurricane Ian to talk all about the Disney Wish. So let's get this party started. We're going to start the 684th, I think. I could be wrong. I forgot to look. I always have it written on my calendar at home, but obviously I'm not at home. So 684th episode of the Wednesday show in 5, 4, 3, 2. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 684th episode of the Wednesday show. Today is September 28th, 2022, and I'm your host, as always, Brent Dodge. Hello. Today, we're going to be talking all about the Disney Wish and our trip that we took this past week on it. And if you guys have any questions about it, of course, just start throwing those questions into the comments below, and we'll answer any and all questions as we go through here today. But of course, before we get to that, let's talk about our news for the week. Listen to the rain. Can you guys hear the rain? Can you hear it? It just keeps on. Yeah. When did Ian make his park reservations? Apparently, he made them pretty early. So, first off, for our Disney news, thank you everyone who's been joining us for our Saturday in the Park. If you already know, every single Saturday right here on the From Screen to Team Facebook page, we do a live broadcast from someplace found throughout the Walt Disney World Resort. Make sure you join us every single Saturday. You never know where we're going to be. This week we will be for sure at Epcot for the 40th anniversary. So make sure you join us every single Saturday for our broadcast from the park. Also, thank you to everyone out there who's been checking out our daily Disney videos. If you didn't already know, every single day we are doing a daily Disney video about something or another about Disney. The last 6 days in a row, maybe 5 days in a row, We've done videos about the Disney Wish. We still have a lot more Disney Wish videos coming out in the near future. However, tomorrow's is going to be about driving around Walt Disney World with no one around during preparation of Hurricane Ian. I drove around for about 45 minutes earlier today before the storm actually hit us. But there was no one on the road, so it was kind of creepy. And then, of course, as always, tonight's show is sponsored by It's All About the Mouse Travel. Make sure you stop by it'sallaboutthemousetravel.com for all of your Disney travel needs. All their services are absolutely, positively, 100% free. So make sure you book with them for your next Disney vacation. All right. So if you guys were not aware, this past week we did go on the brand new, the 5th ship in the Disney Cruise Line fleet, the Disney Wish. I feel like I'm so far away compared to how I usually am. This is like really throwing me off. Let's throw this upside down here. Can we do this? Oh, nope, can't do that. Okay. There's my laundry basket. I was thinking maybe I could use it as a seat, but it's not stable enough. Okay, so the way we can do this is we can do this one of 3 different ways. One, I can just go through. We can do day by day exactly what we talked about or what we did during our 4-day cruise. 2, we can go layer by layer or deck by deck and talk about the ship. Or 3, we can have it so you guys throw out what you want to hear about on the Disney Wish, and we kind of go through and answer your questions, and then I can elaborate further and further while we talk about each specific area. So let me know down below which one you guys would want to hear us go through. Remember when we all rode out the hurricane? I do remember that, man. That was so much fun. That was a great hurricane. Okay, we got 1 vote for day by day. Step by step, day by day. I want to talk about ice cream. I don't want to talk about ice cream. You want to talk about ice cream? All right, day by day right now is in the lead. Does anyone else have any other preference, or we're going to go day by day, exactly what we did, day by day? We got more votes for day by day, day by day, day by day, day by day. Everyone's saying day by day. So we're going to do day by day for our thing. Okay. So we set sail last Monday. It was last Monday, the 19th. September 19th is when we set sail. So the first day is just a basic sail away day. However, if you've ever done a cruise with me, you know it's not a basic sail away day. You know that it consists of running around the ship like crazy to try to get as much stuff done because you already know that the trip is almost over. That's how I do these cruises. If you've never done one with me, you've probably had a much more relaxing experience than most of the people who've done cruises with me. So our first day, let's just kind of go into it. So when we first got on board, we were the 4th group to board. And let's see, how many hours a night did you sleep? Oh, not a lot. 2 nights ago, I slept for 9 hours, and it was the first time I had slept more than 6 hours in about 2 weeks. So I slept very, very little. I was usually running around until about 1 o'clock, sometimes 2 o'clock in the morning. And then we'd be waking up around 7, 8 o'clock at the latest. 8:30. I think 8:30 was the one day. At Sea Day, I slept until 8:30. And then I was woken up because it was time to do trivia in 15 minutes. So I had to shower real quick and then run down. So, yeah, I did not sleep I never sleep a lot on the cruises. So our first day on board, the first things we did was we got in and we checked out the kids club before anything else because the kids club is right there. So if you've ever been on the other Disney Cruise Line ships, you know the children's area is usually like a deck or 2 up from when you actually enter into the actual ship. This time around, though, as soon as you walk into the Grand Hall, aka the atrium, but on the ship it's called the Grand Hall. When you walk into the Grand Hall, right in front of you is the kids area. So there's actually a slide that goes down. So you're entering onto deck 3, and right below you on deck 2 is where the kids club area is, the Oceaneers Club. So we figured we're already there. We want to go down the slide because the slide's right there. So we decided we're going to go down the slide right away and check out the kids club area. So first off, the slide, a ton of fun. if you are an adult, the only time you can actually do this slide is during the open house hours. And the open house hours are usually whenever you're at like a dock. So for instance, we could go on immediately for the first 3 hours until we would actually set sail, or 4 hours, maybe 5. But it's just the first few hours you can actually go on that area and go down that slide. So if you're an adult on the Disney Wish, I highly recommend going down the slide. And for those of you guys who are just joining, we were talking literally just about a little slide, not about like the Aqua Mouse. We're talking about just a basic slide. But we went down the slide 2 times and then checked out the kids area. So the kids area consists of several different areas. Hands down, without a doubt, this is my favorite kids club that they've ever done on any of the ships. I've gone into all 5 kids club areas at one point or another in my life. This one, without a doubt, blows the other ones out of the water. There are some familiar aspects. There's a Star Wars area. The Star Wars area is not like the other Star Wars areas where you can pilot the Millennium Falcon. This is a brand new Star Wars area that kind of feels like you're part of Batuu, aka Galaxy's Edge, but it's not even remotely the same. So it's like a brand new thing. And we were with the child, and that child said he spent the majority of his time in the kids club in the Star Wars area because there was a lot of interactive things for him to do there, and a lot of different games for him to play there as well. So the kids club, apparently Star Wars is like the greatest place that you can go. We also went over to the Marvel area. In the Marvel area, we met Spider-Man, which was really cool. And we also kind of took a look around in the area. In that area, you can also find Ant-Man and the Wasp stuff, along with some Pym particles. If you've ever seen Ant-Man and the Wasp, you know Pym particles. It's what makes things grow and shrink and all that other fun stuff. But it comes into play later on. So that's the main reason I bring it up. Then we went to the other side of the kids club. In the other side of the kids club, there is a few different things. One of them is the Walt Disney Imagineering area, And in the Walt Disney Imagineering section of the kids club, it is probably one of the coolest sections of any ship ever. Like, it is so cool because kids can actually go there and learn how to become an Imagineer. They can create their own attraction, and then you can actually go and ride the attraction. So what was really cool is when we were walking into this area, there were 2 random kids who came running up to us and they're like, "Do you want to ride our roller coaster?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." So we rode the roller coaster. PSA for everyone: if you go meet characters with Brent, go first. He'll throw you under the bus. Okay, so I met Spider-Man, and then Eric and his son went to go meet. They went to go meet Spider-Man after I went to meet Spider-Man. I said, "Can I get a picture with Spider-Man just one-on-one?" So we're there, and I'm talking to Spider-Man, and Spider-Man's talking back, and I said, "Any villains on board?" He goes, "Oh no, my Spidey senses started tingling." And I was like, "Well, the guys behind me were talking all about Dr. Octopus, and so maybe Dr. Ock's goons are on board, so you better watch out there because they seem like they're friendly with them." And he's like, "Oh, I'll keep my eyes out." And so then when they came up, he was giving them a hard time about being friends with Dr. Ock. So yeah, just sometimes you gotta throw people under the bus, even if it's one of your friends. So anyways, going back to the Imagineering area. So these kids came up and they were like, "Oh, do you want to ride a ride?" So we rode the ride. It doesn't move or anything, but it's like a screen and you can like ride the ride. Yeah. Overall, it was a pretty cool. Like, if I was a kid, I would be there the entire trip. Like, I think that would be the best part of the kids club for me. I think other people probably, like I said, the kid we were with, his favorite section was Star Wars. I'm sure other kids' favorite sections was Marvel. But there was so much stuff to see and so much stuff to do. So let's keep on talking about it. Also, in the kids club, there was the Fairy Tale Hall, or the Royal Hallway, or the Royal, what was it called? I got something on my nose. I can't get it off. I'm still peeling from Castaway Key. So there was like a section, and in that section there is a Belle's Library, there is a Rapunzel art room, and then there is also a Frozen room. In the Frozen room, if you are a child and you have one of the child little magic bands for the thing, what is that? I'm peeling, and it's just like it's tickling my nose. So the magic band actually has it so you can actually like interact with the screen. So there's a game there where you can actually pick up snowballs and you can throw it at Olaf. I didn't get to play because I don't have one of those magic bands because I wasn't a kid. But the kid we were with played it, and it looked really, really cool. Just on the other side of that area, there was another section which was made for younger kids, And it's Mickey, Minnie, Donald, Daisy, Goofy, and Pluto, and them doing cruise line stuff. So you go through there, and there's all these different activities, so you can pretend like you're actually driving the boat. And then the next section over from there was the Small World Nursery. Now, in the past, the Small World Nursery has been just a very basic nursery with a few cool little decorations on the wall. This Small World Nursery, I would give anything to have my entire condo painted the way that this nursery was painted. So every single section was a different section of the world. So you would have Africa. And in the Africa section, you would have Pride Rock off the distance, along with Simba and friends. And then you would also have Wakanda there. And then also, you go over to Europe and you would have Peter Pan and Wendy, and you'd have Belle. And it was so cool the way that they did it. So when you're going through the nursery, you can actually see different parts of the world, but with Disney characters in a small world fashion. It was really cool how they did it. One of my favorite parts of it all. Keep on throwing questions in the chat room. If you guys have any questions about the small or about the Kids Club or anything, just feel free to stop and just start asking questions. So we're going to go through and answer as many questions as possible as we go through here as well. After we did that, we went up to the top deck and we got some food. We got food at probably the best place to eat for quick service food on the entire ship. It's the Festival of Foods. The Marceline Market was good, but it's not as good as the Festival of Foods. The Festival of Foods consists of 5 different areas. There's Minnie's Ice Cream Cone, which we spent the majority of our trip at. There's Goofy's Grill, which has brats and burgers, both really, really good. There's Mickey's Barbecue, which had amazing barbecue chicken. Loved it. There's Daisy's Pizza. The pizza was okay. It's not my favorite part of the whole thing. And then there was Donald's Cantina. And Donald's Cantina, there was a few people who said that the burritos were the best thing ever. And I think they might have been right, because the burritos there were unbelievable. To the point where, at the end of the cruise, there was the longest line for the burritos than any of the other things. I think because people knew that you wanted to go through and eat the burritos. The burritos just were so good. After that, we went up and we did the Aqua Mouse. We did the Aqua Mouse 2 times that day. So the Aqua Mouse actually consists of 2 different storylines, and it goes every other day as a different storyline. So the one storyline was Mickey and Minnie are swimming around and they're sailing around and trying to find sunken treasure. And along the way, they find Donald and Daisy as mermaids. They find Goofy and a clam. They find a sea serpent. They find all these different things. So how this attraction goes compared to the Aqua Duck, I actually think I like the Aqua Mouse more than I like the Aqua Duck, mainly because I like the whole idea of having a giant storyline going from start to finish. But the way this works is you get on the raft and you sit down and you're at deck 12, 13, 12, 12, 13, 13, 12, 13, 13. I think it's 13. I'm drawing a blank right now. I think it's 13. Because you go up 2 sets of staircase. 13. Yeah, 13. Haha. That's completely different thing. How many storylines are there? There are 2 different storylines. So the way that these storylines are set up, so first off, you get into your raft on deck 13, and it takes you up very, very slowly. But while you're going up, you're going through a tunnel, and while you go through the tunnel, there are screens on the right-hand side and the left-hand side. So there will be a screen on your right-hand side, and the next part there's one on the left-hand side, then right, then left, then right, then left, then right. While you are going through here, they have a storyline going on. So the first one is it's Mickey and Minnie. They're trying to find treasure. And so the first screen is Donald and Daisy are mermaids. It's oh, that's not what we're looking for. And then you get to the next screen, and they come into a sunken ship, and then there's a clam there, and also the clam opens up, and it's Goofy and goes, hey, get your own clam. And then that shuts. But while all these different things are going while they're shutting and stuff, so at one point, Donald and Daisy kind of go like that. When that happens, there's actually water that squirts you. And then same thing with the clam that closes, and then there's water that squirts you. And so they keep on going through a storyline from start to finish. And then when you get to the top, something happens. I'm not going to say what, but something happens, and it causes all this water to kind of rush behind you. And then you get into the thrill part of the attraction where you go down this actual slide. That attraction was so much fun. And then the other storyline, is based off the yodeling. Remember the yodeling? The Mickey Mouse cartoon. So you're going up the hill, and there's all these different things that are happening, and things will keep on melting. And when things melt, water squirts on you, and then eventually something happens again, and a giant wave comes behind you and pushes you down the actual thrill portion of the attraction. overall, both attractions I really, really liked. I think I liked the underwater one a little bit more than the other one. However, I think both of them were great. Now, here's some tips. So if you're there on the first day, the attraction opens up at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. We were the fourth and fifth people on, or the fourth or fifth raft on the entire cruise. And we were able to get on 2 times with no wait whatsoever. So we hopped on 2 times, and then we were like, oh, you know what, maybe we should go check out with, because it was me and the 8-year-old. But we're like, maybe we should go check in with his parents to make sure they're okay. And then when we met up with them, we decided, naturally, we hadn't eaten for like half an hour. So we decided to go check out the Marceline Market. So when we got over to the Marceline Market, we just ate some, chicken tenders and stuff like that. So let's talk a little bit about the Marceline Market. The Marceline Market for food, it's your basic thing, your basic food that you can find on a quick service for a Disney cruise. The chicken tenders were good, and that's about all I ate there. Is that all I ate there? I think so. I think I mainly had chicken tenders, and then in the morning we would eat there for breakfast, and I would get like pancakes and sausage and what have you, donuts and stuff. But the thing with the Marceline Market is that the first few times I went in there, I was like, the theming just isn't that great here. And then I started to focus more on one of the walls. I was like, wait a minute, that wall says flowers. Why does it say flowers? There's got to be a storyline here. So I started digging a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more into the storyline. And essentially, it is a marketplace when you go throughout the entire thing. The problem was we went to the same seating section the first 2 or 3 times that we went there. And then the 4th time I went there, I was like, oh, wait a minute, we're in a different seating section. And I'm noticing something completely new. So the way that it's actually broken down is, wait a minute. So when you're actually walking up to the Marceline Market from the deck 10 to deck 12, because it's in deck 12, when you're walking up there, there's like a picture there of the Marceline Market. I'm going to try to pull it up right here, right now. Here we go. There we go. So there's the Marceline Market sign. And when you're there, there are these different sections of it. Like I said, flower. One sign said flower. And as you can see at the bottom here, there we go. There's flower from Bambi. So I started to realize, these different sections are all based around different characters that are in this painting. So we have flower along with Bambi and Thumper. You can't actually find Bambi, Thumper, or Flower in the area. However, there are nods to Bambi, the film there. Then we have Judy Hopps along with her parents are referenced with different carrots and different carrot cakes and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Then we have a poison apple section with the evil queen from Snow White. There's a section with Remy along with Cousteau. We have a Belle and Marie section. That's a huge section that I didn't even know that existed because we kept on going through the one entrance instead of going through the other entrance. And then there is the middle section in between the 2 entrances is Alice in Wonderland. Then there's a Pinocchio section as well. And then Maurice / Rapunzel and Attila from, Attila's cupcakes are sublime. Bruiser knits, killer sews, Blaine does little puppet shows, and Vladimir collects ceramic unicorns. Ding. So Marceline Market, the food, not the best food on the ship. However, the theming, very, very subtle, but gets better and better the more and often you go. Okay, we got here. You met 3 characters with me a long time ago. How tall is the lift? The lift, by the time you get to the highest point of the actual thing before you start to descend, you're actually in the highest point that a guest can be on the ship. So it's pretty cool. So you're about 14 and a half decks up. You're above the Slidosaurus Rex, which is a completely different slide that's on board. So very, very cool altogether. All the different stuff that was there. Then that night we had our first show, which was Seize the Adventure. Seize spelled S-E-A-S. Seize the Adventure is a brand new cruise show specifically for the Disney Wish. We also had The Little Mermaid, which we're going to talk about a little bit too here as well. Seize the Adventure, without a doubt, my favorite one of the 3 shows that was found on board. All 3 amazing shows. I cannot stress enough. All 3 of the shows were amazing shows. There was something about Seize the Adventure, though, that was it was so much fun to see Goofy playing the role of the captain of the ship, and things just kept on going wrong because it's Goofy. And when we had things start going wrong, we had more and more different Disney characters joining us on the ship. So it was a really cool show. You would go through, and it was kind of like how they've done it on other ships too, where like they'll have a special show for the ship. And in the past, it's been like a more serious and more dramatic thing. Like there was Disney's Believe and Disney's Wish, and those shows have been featured around like, you know, kids graduating from high school and they're going to Disneyland one last time, and then they go through like all these different Disney movies. And then there was another one where it was like a guy who was gardening and with his daughter, and so they've always had those kind of shows. This one though was a lot more fun with just Goofy there, and Goofy going through all these different scenes and different segments with different classic characters. Loved it. 100% loved it. If you're going to see one show and one show only on the ship, I highly recommend that one. Although I would highly recommend all three, but that was my favorite one of the three shows that we watched on the ship. After that, we had our dinner for the night. Our dinner was at World of Marvel. So we started off with the best show, but we also started off with the worst dinner. Worlds of Marvel, I enjoyed for what it was, but I wish it was a little bit more. So if you watch my YouTube video yesterday, actually featured the entire show, the actual video portion of the show, where you go through, and it's Ant-Man and the Wasp in the kids club, and they're talking about how they brought Pym particles on board, and they're going to show you how to grow things and shrink things with your help. So on your actual table, there are these different things that can help you grow and enlarge things, and you help them, and of course something goes wrong. So they decided that they're going to go try to figure out what's going wrong, and while they are doing that, they're going to show you different showcases of Stark technology and Pym technology and all these different technologies. And then essentially for like 45 minutes on the screens, you just have different like short clips from different Marvel films. It was good. It wasn't great. Like it was one of those where like halfway through, I was like, okay, we're just watching clips of a movie right now. And so you kind of got distracted by that, but there wasn't like sound going on with them. You just kind of had like, you know, Avengers music playing in the background, and we would eat our food. The food was good. My favorite meal was like the second night though. The second night? Yeah. Was that the double baked potato night, Eric? Or was that the third one? The ribeye was really good. The ribeye was really good that night. The chicken, we both got two dinners. The chicken was not as good. Also, if you guys have never been on a Disney cruise before, I tell this to people all the time. When you're going to go on a Disney cruise for the first time, you can order as many food items as possible, and they will bring you as many food items as possible. So if you want to order 3 dinners, order 3 dinners. They will actually bring it to you. You've already paid for it. It's part of your cruise price. So yeah, so we had the ribeye the first night, which was good. And then there was chicken. The chicken was not as good. The ribeye was really, really good that night. And then, yeah, the show overall was entertaining, but I wish there was a little bit more. Plus, it was all screens. So, like, if you went into the restaurant and it was closed, like, it was just screens. Like, so there wasn't really anything cool to look at in the restaurant unless the show was going on, which to me is kind of a disappointment. Like, I get it. They want to do something new and unique. And I think it would have been a really cool show if they added a little bit more to it, but they hopefully in the future for next ones, they'll add a little bit more, and it'll be a much cooler show than what we had this time around. Do you hear that rain? I'm like in an middle section too. Like I'm not like, there's like 2 walls that go out like this from this window right here. Yet the rain keeps on getting through and hitting me. And then that night, I made Eric run around the ship with me. So let's go to our second night and start throwing questions in the comments below about anything and everything as we go through it. So second day, we ended up going over to Nassau. I'm not a huge fan of Nassau. I had a guy who asked me if I wanted to rent a motorbike. I said no. And then he said, well, I can hook you up with some drugs or alcohol. And I said, no, I'm good. So I've never been a big fan of Nassau. There's a few things that I enjoy doing there. We didn't really do much there. We went out and we went shopping for maybe half an hour, maybe 45 minutes, mainly due to the fact that Eric's son, it was his first time out of the country. So we want to get his passport stamped. So we went out specifically to get his passport stamped and to do a little bit of shopping just to kind of, so they could see the area. After that, we went back and we did some. Oh, we did bingo that day, right? Is that there? Yeah, that was our first bingo day. Do they have the BLT on room service? Did you get room service? What did you get? We did not get room service this time around. We actually talked about room service multiple times. We're like, oh, we'll get room service later on. Like, like we'll fill up more later on. And we never once called. Yeah, I don't. Eric, maybe you guys called room service when I was running around the ship late at night, but I never got room service this time around. So yeah, I didn't even look at really what was on the thing. I know that they had the other bingo going once, bingo going twice. Where's this bingo going? Out of here. So we did bingo. Bingo is at Luna Lounge. Okay, so we haven't really talked about the lounges at all. Because we did a lot of exploring. So actually, the first night we did a game called Wish Quest, and I was thinking because it was like it's the most daring adventure on the high seas, or the most daring scavenger on the high seas. I was like, ooh, this is gonna be good. So I brought our 8-year-old down with us. It was just me and him, and it was literally you go around and you're in the same room, but they'll be like, okay, I need sunglasses and your team number up here. First person gets 3 points, first team gets 3 points, second team gets 2 points, third team gets 1 point. So yeah, we played that and it was fun, but we got second place, so it wasn't. Yeah. How did you do on trivia? Ready to get the bingo? Don't worry. So the trivia did not go well on this trip. We played trivia 4 times. Every single one of the 4 times we missed one question. The first time, Eric and I were both completely drawing a blank. Let's throw the trivia question out here, so if anyone knows it. What is the name of the sea that Elsa rides across on the horse in Frozen 2? What is the name of the sea that Elsa rides across in Frozen 2? Eric and I both looked at each other, like, it was literally the 15th question too. We're like, we don't know. And we got the first 40 questions right. So we missed that one. The answer for those of you guys because you guys are delayed, is 15th or not 15th. 15th was the question. The Black Sea is the answer. The Black Sea. There's so many funny people. Yeah, so we did that, and then the second time we played trivia. What was the question? Oh, the second one was there were some like really obscure quotes at the end, and we missed 2 of them. We missed 2 of the quotes, and if we would have gotten one of the quotes, we actually would have won the whole thing. But the quotes were really obscure quotes, and I was like, every single time we're like, I think I know it, but I'm not positive what it is, and we lost by 1 point. If we would have gotten one of those quotes, that was worth 2 points. So we would actually catapulted to first place. And then the last one, I think, this bed is weird. The last one was we could have won if we cheated. So we went through and there was 2 questions that we didn't know. And one of the questions, I knew it. I was like, oh, I know the answer. I just can't think of what the answer is. And the question was, what is the name of the science fiction writer who helped design the storyline for Spaceship Earth? And I was like, immediately, I was like, I know he wrote Fahrenheit 451. I just can't think of what his name is. And after a few questions had been asked, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to look it up. And we're not going to take the point. I'm just going to look it up. And I had my internet package on. And I did a voice to text, and I was like Fahrenheit 451, and I forgot the volume was up, and they're like, according to Wikipedia. I'm like, no. So all these people are like, they're cheating, even though we weren't going to take the point. So we actually would have won if we would have cheated and taken that point. But I was like, we can't take this point because clearly we looked up part of it. It was just driving me crazy that I couldn't think what it was. And I just was like, I'm going to look up Fahrenheit 451. It's Ray Bradbury, by the way. And then the other question that every person got wrong was, what is the largest resort on Walt Disney World property? And and someone's like, oh, is it by volume or by room number? And the guy's like, oh, I'm pretty sure this is by like actual area size. And I was like, oh, that's easy. That's Fort Wilderness. Fort Wilderness. And then the answer was Pop Century. And I know for a fact Pop Century is the largest room size. There's more rooms at Pop Century than at any of the other resorts. But when it comes to size of the resort, Fort Wilderness would have been the answer. So everyone got that one wrong because the guy thought it was the other thing. And a lot of people were like, oh, then it's going to be this or this or this. And unfortunately, we were all wrong. So we did that. So the trivia was in the Keg and Compass. It was also in the Trident Lounge. It was also in Luna. So Luna is where we did bingo. We played bingo twice. Eric's wife actually won, but she also won with 14 other people, so she didn't win a lot of money. But overall, it was a lot of fun. The question was in Walt Disney World. So just Walt Disney World, what is the largest resort? So Luna is a two-staged or a two-level auditorium. It's supposed to be like you're in the night sky. So if you look up in the sky, you can actually see constellations of Mufasa, Jiminy Cricket, Eve and Wally, and then Peter Pan and Tinkerbell. Really, really cool area. Trident is probably the most underwhelming of all the lounges, but it's like a perfect area for people to just kind of join together and play games. There's a little stage in the front, and that's about it. Like, there's not a whole lot going on in the Trident Lounge. Keg and Compass probably is the most elaborate place on the entire ship when it comes to details. Eric and I were walking through there the very first day when we were like just walking through the area, and we're looking because on the ceiling there's this massive map of the world, and if you go to different spots on the map, you can actually see characters like Lilo and Stitch are found over by Hawaii. You can find characters like that's the only one I can think of right now. You can find Moana off in the Polynesian Islands. So it was really, really cool how they went through. Well, Eric, you're trying to make me marry the bingo caller. And so, yeah, but here, I see this question. I currently have a friend on the Wish. She says the lounges are very small. Do you think so? They are small but plentiful, if that makes sense at all. The lounges are smaller than some of the lounges that are found on the other ships. However, there are more lounges on the Wish than you've ever had on any of the other ships. So also found here, there are things like Nightingale. Nightingale is like a small little piano bar. It is based off of the Sing Sweet Nightingale, Sing Sweet Nightingale from Cinderella. And then if you go right outside of the area, you can find a giant tapestry with Cinderella cleaning the floor. And then you can also find the Lady Tremaine and Anastasia and Drizella singing sweet from that part of the film. If you also look at that area, you can find all these bubbles above the piano because there's the bubbles during that song. And then around the bubbles, there are musical notes, and the musical notes actually are for the song Nightingale from the film Cinderella. Next to that is the Hyperspace Lounge. The Hyperspace Lounge is a very small area. And we walked in several times. People told me afterwards, like, oh, yeah, you had to get reservations. So, like, you could just walk in anytime you wanted to. Hyperspace Lounge, it was like a fun atmosphere. We never got drinks there. We would walk in, we'd kind of take a look around, but we didn't really get to a chance to explore it to the full potential that I think it was. But I'm sure there's more to it. Then right across the way from that was the Bayou. The Bayou is themed around Princess of the Frog. That might have been my favorite of the lounges. When you're in that area, there are little frogs of Naveen. There's another one of Tiana. And then in the back section, there is this giant, well, not giant, but there's like the liquor case. And then behind the liquor case, there are things etched into the wall featuring the city of New Orleans. And then in the middle of all of them is Tiana's Palace, which is the name of her restaurant at the end of the film. In addition to that, they have beignets for sale. We tried the beignets. The beignets were very, very good. You can get those for an additional fee. You can also get drinks there for an additional fee too. But yeah, I think, and then in addition to that, like there's little cafes on the 4th and 5th deck. If you go to deck 4, that is the Wishing Star Cafe, which is themed around Pinocchio. It's got a little Jiminy Cricket there. If you follow me on Instagram, you probably saw the little Jiminy Cricket that I posted on my, as a picture. Above that is the Sword and the Stone Cafe. Both of them are amazing cafes. So much little details in such a small little section. In addition to that, we almost went to Hook's Barbery. Hook's Barbery is a spot where you can actually get your hair cut, or you can get a shave, or you can get a pedicure. There's also the Untangled Salon. Again, you can get pedicures, get your hair done, blah, 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 blah. Both areas were amazingly themed. I almost got my hair cut at Hook's Barbery, but I went in there and they're like, oh, it's $53. They're like, never mind. I will save that $53. So going back to the second day, so we did some trivia, we did bingo, we did a few different things, and then for our show that night was The Little Mermaid. The Little Mermaid was a very unique way that they did it because it was kind of around the idea that it was these people who came across the treasure chest and they're talking or they're singing about the tale of the Little Mermaid, and then they all kind of start taking roles, and then also you got one girl who's Ariel, one person who's Flounder, and then all of a sudden they go into the whole story. And then at the end, they're back to the treasure chest like, haha, we told you a tale. Overall, it was a great show. The only problem that did happen was at one point, everything stopped working. And then all of a sudden, Ursula's like, I did it, haha, as the curtains fell down. The show did resume a few minutes later on, luckily, but that was pretty cool. That night, though, we had dinner at Arendelle, and Eric's already said right there, Arendelle, the greatest dinner experience I've ever been a part of. 100%. Arendelle is, of course, based up around Frozen. The actual storyline takes place immediately after Frozen 2. So right after Anna and Kristoff get engaged, you were there for their wedding ceremony, or not their wedding ceremony, for their engagement party. So the entire thing was unbelievable. So first off, they have Wandering Oaken comes out. It's like, woohoo! And he announced that he is no longer just doing Wandering Oaken's I can't even think of the name of it, his shop and sauna, but he is now a party planner too. So he is putting on a party for Kristoff and Anna, who are celebrating their engagement today. So then out comes these three musicians. They sit there and they start playing songs from Frozen, and then eventually, Olaf, Anna, Elsa, and Kristoff all come out to celebrate their engagement, and they have a big party. And then Wandering Oaken's out there again, and then Kristoff. It was so cool, like how they did it. It was just all this music, all this detail. It was a nonstop show from the moment you sat down to eat all the way until you finished eating. The whole thing was unbelievable, without a doubt, probably the best dining experience I've ever had in my life. Like without a doubt, it was one of those things where we had Arendelle back-to-back nights, and I was like, if we had Arendelle a second night, I hope we have the show. But unfortunately, we didn't have the show the second time. You only get it one time during the cruise. But the Arendelle, like that number one dining experience on the ship, Worlds of Marvels, bottom, and then 1923 we're going to get to. So, but 1923 is in the middle for sure. So day 2 was also the Halloween party. So they had the lighting of the lighting of the Halloween tree was the first night, which is Boo. She's beautiful. Boo is the tree that's in the center of the Grand Hall. She is actually the tree that holds the pumpkin that was created for the pumpkin coach for Cinderella herself. So after they go through this giant ceremony, all the pumpkins that are just regular pumpkins at the start when you first walk on the cruise, they also have characters on it. So it tells the story of Cinderella after the show. It's really cool how they do it. They had a masquerade ball. The masquerade ball was again, I got it on my YouTube channel. If you go watch it, it's essentially a dance party with all the different characters, and all the different people, adults and children, were all dressed up. Overall, masquerade ball, hey, I really like it. I always like the Halloween time. I've done 2 Halloween on the high seas cruises. Both of them have not disappointed at all. And then, was that it for day 2? I think so. Day 3 was Castaway Key Day. Love Castaway Key Day. Now, Castaway Key Day is always one of my favorite things in the entire world. I love Castaway Key, but it was also the only time that we could get a ship tour. There was 3 ship tours. There was only one spot still available, so we took it for the Castaway Key Day. So the first hour that we were on Castaway Key, we were actually on the ship doing a tour. If you've never done these tours of the ship, I go through this every time that we talk about the ships or the cruise line. Every single time I say, without a doubt, my favorite thing to do on these ships is the ship tour, and it still stands true. This one was different than the previous ones. The previous ones, you kind of do like almost the entire ship. This one, you focus solely on decks 3, 4, and 5. And it's really cool how they kind of go through decks 3, 4, and 5 and just kind of give you an idea of why different things are where they are. Overall, I highly recommend it. I hope that I can go on the Wish again sometime in the near future, maybe tomorrow, and have it so I can do the ship tour again. Because I feel like every time you do the ship tour, you've got a different guide, and the different guides are always going to tell you different things that the previous one forgot to tell you about or chose not to tell you about. So the ship tour was amazing. We did Castaway Cay. On Castaway Cay, I did the 5K, as always. I did the Aqueduct a few times. And then we did snorkeling. I released that snorkeling video earlier today over on my YouTube channel as well. They have added 3 new things since the last time I went snorkeling. They added Daisy Duck, they added a Dumbo the Flying Elephant ride vehicle, and they also added Boo's Door from Monsters, Inc. All 3 amazing things. Yes. People keep on checking on me. Are you okay? Yes, we're fine. We still have power. It would have been crazy if all of a sudden we lost electricity right then. So we went back to the ship and we played more trivia. We got some food. We ate a lot of ice cream on this trip. I think we did the Aqua Mouse again. And then what else did we do? Well, that night we had Aladdin. Aladdin's been on pretty much every single Disney cruise ship at one point or another. Aladdin, the musical. Overall, I always think it's a great show. They added a few different elements to this one compared to the other ones. This one has more screens, so they kind of interact with the screens a little bit more, which actually enhanced the experience. It wasn't like you're watching the movie, but overall, it was really cool to kind of see the screens in the background and the characters interacting with those screens. They've done that a few times on the previous ships, but not as much as they did on this show. So this show went a little bit further into the storytelling. So still, Aladdin, always a great show. That night we ate at 1923, or I guess it was the next night we ate at 1923. But 1923, like I said, it's my second favorite restaurant. There are 2 different sides to it. There is the Roy Disney side and there's the Walt Disney side. Both of them, same restaurant, just a little bit different theming. On the Roy Disney side, you've got several different films. On the Walt Disney side, you've got several different films. We sat in the Peter Pan section. I love Peter Pan. So when you're going through, they've got different props, different art sketches, different character sketches of the different films that are around your area. So in both sections, we went to both sections at one point or another, just kind of walk around. But while we walked around, we did a lot. I mean, I took pictures of literally every inch of 1923 on both sides. Going off of 1923, in front of 1923, on the left-hand side of the right-hand side of the restaurant, you can find a different artwork for what the Disney Wish was supposed to, or what it is for the interior and for the exterior of the ship. So if you're ever on the ship, go through there. It's actual Imagineering stuff that's in there, so you can kind of go explore a little bit more. What else have we not talked about? The shops on board. We didn't go to any of the I took a step into each fancy shop just so I could say that I was in each shop on board. But the shops are Mickey's Main Sale is the only really big shop that they have on this ship. Really cool store, a little variety of anything and everything that you can get. The only one that I have here with me right now, because like I said, I'm not at home, is I have this nifty notebook. So then we also went to the Inside Out treats. I got the Bing Bong Sundae. Who's your friend that likes to play Bing Bong, Bing Bong? Really good ice cream, but I think the other ice cream actually might have been better. But I'm glad that I got my Bing Bong ice cream. In addition to that, we also went to the Hero Zone at one point. We actually went there a few times, but the Hero Zone is on going from deck 11. You have to go into Marceline Market and then go up to deck 12 to actually get in there. The Hero Zone is a interactive area. They've got basketball in there. They've got different things like foosball, ping pong, etc., etc., etc. But during the trip, they also have the Incredible Zone. And in the Incredible Zone, it's like this interactive, giant inflatable thing that you can, like obstacle course that you can run through We went through there 3 times. I was exhausted by the end of the 3rd one. It was so much fun, though. I absolutely loved it. Definitely, if you are there and you want to try it out because it's a lot of fun. It's kind of like going to like one of those inflatable like kids, places that you can go to around the country. We also had the Pirate Night. Pirate Night, instead of having a show that night, so that was night 3. Instead of having like a show, so like I said, we had Seize the Adventure, Little Mermaid, and Aladdin. The 3rd night, instead of having one of those shows, we had a pirate show. And the pirate show featured Red the Pirate, and she came out and along with her band, and they played some rockin' tunes while you're trying to figure out exactly where this treasure was that was supposed to be someplace out in the sea. And my favorite part of the entire thing was he said, so according to this scroll, on September 21st, 2022, this treasure is supposed to go out. And literally everyone around me looked at their watches or their phones to see if that was today's date. I'm like, of course it is. Like, why would they say that date unless it was actually today? But it was like a bunch of adults like, wait a minute, that's today. Ooh. It just dimmed down for a second and came back up. Don't lose power yet. We still have a few more minutes of the show. And they do the fireworks at sea. So the pirate show is a little bit different than what they've done in previous pirate shows, but still a great pirate show nonetheless. I can't think of anything else, so let's go to your questions. If anyone out there has any questions about the Disney Wish, throw them the questions, and we'll answer as many as we can. I'm going to get a drink here while you guys type away. Any questions out there? What did you buy? Did you book your next cruise? I did not book my next cruise. However, well, I'll be doing another cruise for sure. I bought this. I bought a jacket. This is a notebook. I write so many different notes just for my books that I was like, oh, I'll get this one. This is actually made easy for jotting things down. And I brought it over here because I figured if we lose power, I can go through pictures and still write. Right here. Why did other guests keep complaining the Wish was different? How? So the Wish is very, very different. And I think that's the problem that people had, but it's the thing that I thought was so much better. So the best comparison I can make, and I made this comparison a few times to people, and I'm like, oh, that actually makes a lot of sense. So if you go on the, let's say you go on the Magic. The Magic's like going to Disneyland, the original. Then you go to the Wonder. It's very similar to Disneyland, but it's not exactly the same. There's a lot of similarities, but there's some differences. So it's like going to the Magic Kingdom. And then you go on to the Dream. It's a little bit bigger, but it's kind of still the same as the other 2 ships. So it's like going to Tokyo. And then it's like going over to Paris for the Fantasy. There's all these different things that are all so similar. And then you take a lot of the same Disney elements, but you put it into a completely different type of situation. And that's what this was like. This was like going on to Epcot. It's very similar to the other 4 ships, but the other ships are so similar that this was completely different. So I think one of the problems that a lot of people had was, one, there weren't a lot of like adult only areas. There was that 12, the app part of the ship. There was like a Cove Cafe, which they have on the other ships, which was nice. For me, I like to go. So like the adult areas have never been areas where I'm like, oh, I'm gravitating towards this, because I want to keep on going. So for me, adult area is not really the biggest thing. But a lot of people I talked to, that was their biggest complaint, was there weren't a lot of spots that were specifically for adults. And for me, I really don't care if I'm near kids or not near kids, because I'm a big kid myself. So a lot of people I've talked to, that's been their biggest complaint. I talked to a few people after I got off the ship who've been on the Wish previously, and they're like, oh, I didn't like the Wish because it was, but I was like, the thing I liked about it was so different than the other ships. There was a lot of lounges, which some people are like, oh, there was too many lounges. I don't think there were too many lounges. I think there were enough lounges, but I think each lounge was unique enough that made it a very cool experience to have. But yeah, I don't know. There was the Wish is very different from the other ships. So if you've ever been on the other ships, especially if you've been on two of the other ships. It doesn't matter which two, but if you've ever been on any other ships, you'll know that like they all kind of feel like it's the same kind of layout, the same kind of feel. The atrium's kind of the same type of feel to it, and this one was a completely different thing. So overall, I really enjoyed it. I liked the fact that it was so different. It made it feel like I was going to a completely new spot, opposed to like when I go from the dream to the fantasy. I'm like, oh, it's pretty much the same ship, which is still good, but I like also having different things. Let's do this one real quick here. The laundry area was amazing. The elevators I thought were too small. So Eric and I said the only big complaint that either one of us had was the elevator situation. One, the elevators were very narrow, and also two, I like how on the other ships there are 3 sets of elevators. On this one, there's one in the forward, there's one in the aft, which it's not the end of the world. But the first day I was like, wait a minute, I feel like we're walking forever to get to the elevators. And I think part of it was because I was so used to when you walk into the atriums for the other ships, there's elevators right there. That's not the case here. To get to the elevators here, you have to walk past like 2 or 3 things to actually get to the elevators. But again, not the end of the world. Funny story. So the first time we went on the elevators with other people, Eric didn't realize there was elevator buttons on both sides. And so we pushed the buttons and then he was leaning against the wall, not realizing he was leaning against the buttons. And then we stopped at every floor. And everyone had a good laugh except for one guy who looked so ticked off. Like, how dare you do this? But every time you would go on, it was almost without fail, there'd be one person who was leaning against all the buttons. And you just always prayed it wasn't you. Rank the ships. Is the Wish your new favorite? I think it is. I keep on going back and forth. I think starting at number 5, my least favorite is the Dream. I still love the Dream. I had this conversation with someone not that long ago. They said, oh, so you don't like the Dream? No, I still love the Dream. It's like when I go through like my favorite parks at Disney World. I'm pointing there because it's right there. I'll say like what my least favorite is, and people are like, oh, well, I can't believe you don't like that park. I still love the park. It's just out of the parks, it's my least favorite. Same thing for the Dream. I love the Dream. Just out of the 5 ships, it's just my least favorite. And I don't really have any rhyme or reason. It's just, I don't know. I like the other 4 better. Number 3 is probably the Magic, or I'm sorry, number 4 is probably the Magic. Number 3 is probably the Wonder, which is ironic because the Wonder doesn't have like a cool water slide. The other ones do. Number 2 is the Fantasy, and then I think number 1 is the Wish. Oh, the other thing we didn't talk about, speaking of water slides, the Aqua, or I'm sorry, not the Aqua Mouse. We talked about the Aqua Mouse. Slyosaurus Rex, which is based off of Partysaurus Rex, which was a short cartoon for Toy Story. Very simple slide, but still a lot of fun. Like I don't know. I always have a good time with whatever I do. And I think that's another reason why I love the Wish so much is because no matter what I'm doing, I'm like, oh yeah, this is fun. And other people are like, this is terrible. We were going through, we went to guest services like 3 or 4 times, each time for like like we're upset things. It was just like one time we wanted to get a birthday button for Eric because it was his birthday. Another time I had a question about the QR scanners. I was like, oh, it's not working on my thing. Like, do you have another one anywhere that I can use to scan? So we kind of went through and we went there a few times, and every time everyone around us was like, oh yeah, this is awful. And even when we got on the elevator to go to the auto parking lot, after I don't know, like the parking lot, when we got back, there was a guy who was like, yeah, wasn't that terrible? Like, what are you talking about? It was great. We had a great time. I had a great time on this cruise. Like, I had a great time. I cannot wait to go back on the Wish sometime in the near future. Did you go to the barber? Yeah, so I went to the barbery and I was like, yeah, how much is the price for the haircut? They're like $53. So like, never mind, thank you. Do any other ships have a back window to take a photo of the character on the back? No, there's no spot like that. And this one, honestly, if it wasn't for a cast member, I would never have any idea that this existed either. But if you're ever on the Wish and you want to take a picture of Rapunzel, let me find that picture. Because that picture is actually doing extremely well on Instagram. Let me find it here. No, that's not Instagram. That's YouTube. And now the phone's frozen. There we go. on the back part of the ship, you can go there and you can find Rapunzel. Like, well, obviously, you know Rapunzel's on the back part of the ship because it's on the back part of the ship. But it was actually during our tour, the customer was like, oh, by the way, if you ever want to see Rapunzel, the only spot you can see it on the entire ship is on the back part of Arendelle. So if you look right here, that is Rapunzel from right above her hanging off the ship. And then if you go to the next window, you can still kind of see her, but there's like a bar in the way, but you can also see Pascal really well from that next window. Overall, really, really cool experience kind of seeing all of those different things. All right, any other questions before we wrap this up? This bed spring is so weird. I keep on like leaning against the side of the bed because otherwise I'm like way back here. It's not as much fun. Any other questions before we wrap up this bad boy? Maybe, maybe not. It looks like not. All right, so on that note, I would like to remind you guys that tonight's show is sponsored by It's All About the Mouse Travel. Make sure you stop by itsallaboutthemousetravel.com for all of your Disney travel needs. All of their services are absolutely positively 100% free. So make sure you book with them for your next Disney vacation. I'd like to thank everyone out there for joining us once again this week. Please keep on spreading the word about the Wednesday show and From Screen to Theme. And invite anyone and everyone to join the groups on Facebook and on YouTube. And of course, as always, remember that anything can happen if you let it. Have a great week, everybody. Bye-bye. Goodbye now. Goodbye. Oh, people are saying that the show just went off. You guys can still see it, right? Yeah, people are still on. Hello. You message with people like, you just lost power. We can't see you. I'm still here. Hello. Goodbye. Okay, stay safe, everyone who's in the path of the hurricane, and we'll see you guys all a little later. Bye. Oh.